to put his life on the line to save hers. And he believed that her father, the president, would be shocked if he heard what she just said to her friends. Chelsea's response was, "I don't think so. That's what my parents call you." As soon as Clinton was elected governor, he and Hillary formed a partnership with Jim and Susan McDougal in the Whitewater land deal. The McDougals would manage the business and bear most of the risk and liability, while Bill and Hillary would still enjoy a full 50% ownership. In 1979, the Clintons donated a small parcel of land near a river that flowed through Whitewater Estates to the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission. The donation was contingent upon construction of a boat ramp. Once the ramp was completed, a paved access road, funded at taxpayers' expense, was built from Highway 101 to the ramp, adding substantially to the overall value and marketability of home sites. Bill Clinton had used the powers of his office to enhance the value of his real estate speculation. Many elderly buyers invested in Whitewater because, after all, it was owned by the governor and his wife. However, they made the mistake of not reading the fine print of the real estate contract. As many of them would find, if they defaulted on their monthly installments for more than 30 days, they would lose all of their equity in the land, regardless of how much they had put down or paid in. The results could be devastating. Clyde Soaps put $3,000 down and faithfully made 35 monthly payments of $244.69. When he fell desperately ill, he could no longer make his payments. Although he had paid $12,000 of the $14,000 price of the lot, he quickly lost the land and all his previous investment. This was a typical case. More than half of those who bought Whitewater lots would lose their land and all their equity payments. Records showed at least 16 different buyers paying in more than $50,000 and never receiving property deeds. Meanwhile, Whitewater carried on a flourishing traffic in repossessions and resales, selling some lots over and over when elderly buyers faltered on their payments. A local businessman said, quote, "They screwed people left and right, taking advantage of a bunch of poor old folks on a land deal. The future president and first lady. That ought to be the real Whitewater scandal," unquote. Real estate development was not the Clintons' only good fortune. Less than 2 months after launching Whitewater, Hillary Rodham began trading in the cattle futures market. She was allowed to open her account with a $1,000 deposit, rather than the $12,000 that mercantile exchange rules required. On October 11, 1978, her first transaction netted, within days, a $5,300 gain. Within a week, Hillary had won another $7,800 and $7,200 more only days after that. When she got out of the market in July 1979, her $1,000 investment had mushroomed into $100,000. Her 10,000% return on her investment was more than 5 times the rate of profit made by investors that had bought when she did and sold at the peak of the market during the same period. One commodities analyst said that the odds against such prescience and mastery trading would have been about the same as those of finding the Dead Sea Scrolls on the steps of the State House in Little Rock. In 1995, economists at Auburn and North Florida universities ran a computer statistical model of the First Lady's trades for publication in the Journal of Economics and Statistics. They concluded that the probability of Hillary Rodham's having made her trades legitimately was less than 1 in 250 million. Her broker, Robert Bone, was eventually given a 3-year suspension, one of the most severe sanctions short of criminal prosecution. A 1981 audit showed that Chelsea's nanny, Dessie Sanders, was employed at the governor's mansion from the time of Chelsea's birth to the time Clinton left office. The state of Arkansas does not pay for nannies, so Governor Clinton had Dessie Sanders listed on the payroll as a security guard. During the decade of the 1980s, the Clintons' income would put them in the top 3% of American families. Despite this, the Clintons would take nearly $200,000 off their taxes in charitable contributions. Yearly totals range from about $1,000 to well over $2,300. $30 for 3 shower curtains, $40 for an old pair of Bill's running shoes, and various amounts for discarded undershorts and shirts. The 1980s would prove to be very profitable for the Clintons. Ironically, during her husband's run for the presidency, Hillary would accuse the 1980s as being the decade of greed. The Arkansas Development Finance Authority, or ADFA, was set up by Governor Clinton to ease financing for low-income housing and small businesses. The agency's expensive legal work went to favored law firms, its lucrative underwriting to select Wall Street houses and local bond brokers, almost all of them backing Bill Clinton. There was virtually no legislative oversight or public accountability. Governor Clinton himself appointed the ADFA board and personally approved every bond issue and major transaction from 1985 through 1992. In 1985 alone, ADFA issued bonds for more than $700 million. His 1990 campaign received over $400,000 in contributions from those benefiting directly from the publicly guaranteed bonds. In the late 1980s, a nursing home chain called Beverly Enterprises was in financial trouble. A Texas banker and Hillary's employer, the Rose Law Firm, formed a nonprofit corporation to buy the nursing homes. They would make millions in profits while being financed by tax-exempt state bonds. In September 1989, they were about to carry off a deal in Arkansas for the purchase of 32 nursing homes with $83 million in state bonds. At the last moment, the deal collapsed when Attorney General Steve Clark claimed he had been offered $100,000 in campaign money as a bribe to drop his opposition to the Beverly bonds. The partner who devised the nursing home scheme, William Kennedy III, would later be named a counsel to the president, one of the most powerful positions in the Clinton White House. Dan Lassiter was an Arkansas bond dealer and a close friend, as well as a major contributor to then Governor Clinton. Clinton awarded Lassiter a $30 million bond to install a new police radio system for the Arkansas State Police. During this very period, Lassiter was under investigation by the Arkansas police for cocaine trafficking. Intelligence reports show that the Drug Enforcement Agency had opened a file on Lassiter in 1983. The Attorney General's office in Santa Fe, New Mexico, investigated Lassiter for narcotics trafficking, with possible ties to organized crime. A federal grand jury indicted Dan Lassiter and accused him of conspiring with Bill Clinton's brother Roger Clinton and others to knowingly and willfully possess with the intent to distribute cocaine. In the end, Lassiter was offered a plea agreement and was charged with conspiracy to distribute cocaine. He was paroled after 1 year, most of it spent in a halfway house. He was granted a full pardon by then Governor Clinton. Patty Ann Smith was 16 years old when she fell under the influence of Dan Lassiter. She was still a child, but not for long. In the offices of the U.S. Attorney in Little Rock, she stated, quote, "I was a virgin until 2 months after I met Dan Lassiter. I finally gave in and slept with him. I was introduced to cocaine use by Dan Lassiter when I was 16 years old and a student at North Little Rock High School. Dan Lassiter planned on using